Good evening, everybody. Vilisink. I'm back again with Raid Shadow Legends. Hope you've all had a fantastic weekend. This video is a bit late, but today had fun with the kid at the park. Had a really good time yesterday. Visited some relatives Friday. Again, kid was out, so an action-packed weekend. Hope you've all had a fantastic weekend. You've enjoyed it. And you're making the most of the hours that you have left before we all have to get back to the grind that is Monday morning. So before we jump into the video today, in which we'll be talking about some damage dealers, AOE and single target damage dealers, we do have a 10x currently ongoing, and it's for some pretty good champions: Sir Nick, Roscard, Martyr, Brogni, Warcaster, who I recently pulled, he's fantastic, Demitha, Geomancer and Venomage, all really good champions, all for the Clan Boss 10x. Well, as Plarium are Plarium, we did not include Monitor, who everybody realistically would have pulled for. Also, there is 14 hours 8 minutes left. If you have 120 Ancients, pull yourself a Rathmatab, which is an interesting name, HP based champion. Supposed to be really good, increased resistance and reflect damage, which is very, very interesting combination. I can see him in arena leading some resistance stall teams. Be very interesting. If you had him early game, mid game, would be fantastic for your progression, helping you complete what you have to complete. We also have a tournament, a champion training tournament. First place gets a skin for Cold Heart, which is kind of what Palladium would do. 1 out of every 100 people in a bracket gets a skin. I mean, come on. I think if they had a point restriction on it, 5,000-6,000 points, if you get over this, you can get a skin. Or because they reach their Twitter milestones, they could have give a skin to every player. They're kind of pointless. It just they're really cool to have, but ultimately they're just pointless. So depending on your bracket, be very careful if you decide to go for it. So moving on to the video, we're going to waste no time. We're going to talk about some fantastic damage dealers that I use, that I've built and I've had a lot of fun with. So first up, you know it, one of my favourite champions in this entire game, Chugger. A great damage dealer, great CC champion, a very fun champion. He's funny to watch, his kit's amazing, and he's just somebody I'm having super fun with. He currently has like 4k attack, perfect crit rate, 270 plus crit damage, so enough to do what you have to do. Imagine him in Savage and Helm Smasher. I've done videos on him before and whatnot. So his A1 kit's quite nice, and it's a sleep debuff for 1 turn. As soon as he comes, we'll get to the rest of his kit, but he'll counter attack if they take poison damage, I believe, placed by this champion. And if he's counter attacking with the A1, they're taking the poison damage and they get put to sleep. He's effectively stopping them taking a turn, which is just fantastic. It really is. AOE 2 times, first hit chance to place poison for 4 turns, second hit chance to place the big version decreased defense, which leads up for his counter attacks with his A1. So really good synergy with his kit. His A3 is Heartstopper, which can hit really hard actually. Just to imagine if I had good Savage, Helm Smasher, Master Race, and he was just badass. Like 300% crit damage, full crit rate, 5k attack type of thing. Which I don't, but imagine if I did. So it attacks one enemy that attacks 1 time at random. If the target is under a poison debuff, will ignore shield, block damage, and unkillable. So for like your Skullcrowns and other unkillable champions, your towers, he ignores block damage. Anybody in a shield set, he'll ignore it. And if he kills someone, he will reset the cooldown of Venom Storm by was resets his skill if he kills 2 enemies, sorry. Extra turn if he kills 1. Fantastic champion, those are his masteries. He does have Helm Smasher. I do not have the gear for him though, but he's a fantastic champion. If you have him, absolutely try him out. He's just top tier, it really is. Next up, Brachus the Shifter from the... what did I call it again? The Bracket Unkillable instead of the Budget Unkillable. Brachus the Shifter, an OG damage dealer that came out a long time ago. He was one of the first champions, I believe, to help you like do a solid 1 key because of his damage. He currently he has an okay build. I've had a lot of fun with this champion through faction wars, through dungeons, through Doom Tower, definitely through Clan Boss. And he's about 5k attack, 230 about crit damage. And this champion has an A1 where he attacks 1 enemy and he will heal by 15% of damage inflicted. Fair enough. Attacks 1 enemy 6 times. Imagine him in Clan Boss in a toxic set, or Savage, whatever you take him to. The first set is a 75% chance, can be booked to 100. It puts a weakened debuff for 3 turns. Also heals him by 25% of the damage inflicted. Heals him by 50% if they're under a fear or true fear debuff, which leads us to Hunter's Howl. Places an increased attack buff on all allies for 3 turns, then attacks one enemy 3 times, which is fantastic. I have to take off this hoodie, I'm getting far too warm. I think the pizza heated me up. Each hit also has a chance, placing a true fear debuff, which is great synergy with the rest of his kit. And these 3 hits easily, if built properly, can be 100k damage. His passive is he'll come back to life when killed, immediately gets a turn and most likely will immediately kill someone. And as his HP drops, his damage increases. So you've all seen me cover Brachus before. Let's show you the masteries he has. Obviously he's in Clan Boss at the moment, so he has Clan Boss masteries. Well, that's, if you have Brachus, you'll know how good he is, you'll know how much fun he is. Try him out. Just because I use him and I did have a damage build, quick shout out, everybody knows Ninja. Sadly not everybody potentially has him though. Because I built the regen set. It's a non-damage build, but he can still solo bosses. Because of his detonation of HP burns, he's got a freeze for CC. And his A1, I think the more he does it, as part of his passive escalation, the more times he uses his 3 moves, attack goes up and crit damage goes up, so forth. But just a quick shout out, he isn't built in a damage build, he has Worm Master, I believe masteries, but I did have him in a build about 5k attack, like 170 speed, high crit damage before. You should check out the video for that. He can hit incredibly hard. If you were lucky enough to have him, you should definitely use him. Moving on to somebody I pulled several years ago, Rotos the Lost Groom. I pulled him before he got nerfed. I used to block revive people constantly. Didn't matter who they were, double, triple revive teams, do not care less. Couldn't care less. He is amazing. He's been in a broken kind of build for a while. I will say his HP could be higher. This is not like an end game build. The HP is far too low. And the HP is low because I went kind of full nuke with it. Full damage. But it works in team compositions I'm using. Big yawn. Now, everybody knows his kit also. Chance to place decreased defense, big version on his A1. Also a chance to place an extra turn. It can hit for 100k easy. Vitality, Plunder, attacks an enemy, decreases the target's max HP, which properly works now. and adds the HP to him. He can also not only decrease the HP of an enemy by so much, and I believe he can only put on so much HP to himself, and obviously when it being against bosses, it's 15,000, so nonetheless, this will do 200k easy, 250, again, depends your build, but it's a very fun move. If he's low on HP, and you need to fill up his HP, keep him alive, you hit that Vitality Plunder, and it's golden. Fated Destruction, the Bane of Arena. When Rotos came out, I mean, he just whooped everybody's ass. It doesn't matter if they're going to revive, because when he gets an extra turn after he kills you, he'll just kill you again. It already ignores 60% of the target's defense. Ignores unkillable, block damage, and it was killed by the skill cannot be revived. If the champion has gained a maximum amount of HP from the Vitality Plunder skill, gets an extra turn if this skill kills an enemy. So if you kill him, they're blocked and revived, but you can only block revive if you have gained 60,000 HP, like in arena or dungeons, which realistically is kind of a nerf for arena, but he's still very effective. The fact he can, if you like a relentless build, his A1 is good for extra turns. It kind of broke him a little bit, but he's still top tier everywhere else. You can still go into Clan Boss and hit 150, 250,000 points. It's a bit of a pay for arena, but ultimately you don't really notice it. But that is just kind of how they changed Rotos' skill. But they did, when they did that, fix this so he actually does decrease the HP by the correct amount. Next up, somebody I'm using in arena. Now, I recently I did the one-man defense thing for a while. And I got kind of bored of it because I'd be in gold 3. Then I'd wake up in gold 1, I'd fight back up. Then I'd wake up the next day, I'd be in gold 1. So for me, it was like, why? And I'm in gold 4, close to gold 5. And he's my AOE champion of choice. Quickly attacks one enemy 4 times. Chance to place decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. On each hit, Bio Disruptor 4 times at random. Chance to place leech. And attacks all enemies. Decreases turn meter. Then attacks the targeted enemy. Enemies killed. Cannot be revived. So a bit like Rotos. But there is no stipulation to how much HP he's gained. He just has to do a kill. You cannot revive the enemy for arena. It's just overpowered. So he has House Smasher, Retribution, so forth, and he also has Savage. Not the best Savage. I mean, I could potentially change this broken pieces to like a crit damage set, crit rate set or something, but I don't have the gear for that. But this build right here is like over 4k attack, 187 speed, perfect crit rate, kind of low crit damage. But with that being said, again, I've got from gold 1 to gold 4. I changed my defense back to 4 people again. A defense that will kind of make you think, do you want to attack him or not? But in dungeons, I'm using him in Doom Tower Hard. Arena, he's my main nuker. I'm currently using, unless I swap in Rotos, depending on the team. Very rarely now, it's mainly Foley. But he's absolutely a champion that's worth taking the 60. He can do stupid damage. Absolutely build if you have the choice to. Quick shout out to this 2 here that I had built, now I don't have built. Cleo, when I first got her, I built her kind of to be like a debuffer to sustain herself, but she's so hard. If you watch like Scratch and other content creators, you see there's a lot of potential here with Clopterics. And Rule the Huntmaster, even without any setting up, if built correctly, he can also be the bane of people's existence. You can hit stupid hard, and he can be your Spirit Affinity nuker. Now, as we scroll further down, everybody obviously knows Seer, but that's not what we're going for. Skullcrown is another good AOE champion. Skullcrown you can use as a campaign farmer, which I have done so far. If that's the case, she has to have 100% crit rate. She has to crit. No option. 99% may as well be 1%. Has to be full crit rate, just to guarantee that damage consistently every time to one-shot the waves. She can be part of a blender comp. She can pretty much go into, again, dungeon. She can go into your faction wars team. She can even go into Hydra if built properly. An OG champion that has a cool passive that places an unkillable buff on herself every time her HP drops below 20%. So you cannot one-shot her. What will happen is you'll remove all the HP, so stay alive. You'll then be in fear for your team's life, because if she counterattacks or gets a turn, chances are she's going to kill you. But Corrupting Touch and Wave of Souls, all hit respectively well. And if Sinestha's on the same team, she will revive with 30% HP. Skullcrown, badass. Masteries for her have not changed. While we're here, we'll go off of the road that we're on, throw in some extra damage dealers that I wasn't going to mention because the list could be really, really long realistically. There's so many fantastic champions to do damage in this game. And that's what we're looking at there. I just did a video on Faceless. Oh my god. Look at this guy. This is his masteries. I took the consistent damage from Flawless Execution, along with Stoked Fury, Opportunist, more damage in dungeons if you kill somebody in arena and so forth. Ruthless Ambush, Shield Breaker, just to add insult to injury even though he ignores it, down to counter attack on the defense tree. And every single part of his kit hits like an absolute train. He increases ally attack in arena battles by 21%. I've used him in arena, not on the lead because I needed the speed boost. But again, I did a video a long time ago. If you look back to potentially like a year ago, I was taking out like 400, 500k power teams, one shot in fully shielded Chris and Duchess and our Suga shit. It was ridiculous, fantastic, it was good fun. Fireball, chance to place an extra hit, can hit respect really, really hard. Lightning, increased crit rate on this champion for 2 turns and he'll attack. And with Ice Bolt, he ignores shield, block damage, as well as defense. I recently did a video where I put him with Gerptuck. The only thing I never did was put in an increased crit damage champion. And I probably would have got 250,000. I got over 200,000 damage with the assistance from Gerptuck, putting up all the poisons on people. I mean, check the video out for Faceless. I don't have to say anything about Faceless. People used to look at this guy and say, look, I don't like the build, he looks stupid. He's this, he's that, but here's the reason I got past Knight's Rev. His damage was the main source of damage, and that was it. He was the reason that I managed to one-shot the Valks. I had to tweak the build so much to get that done, but when I got it done, it just made a world of difference. I mean, Faceless, he's just a badass. Honestly, he is insane. I love him to bits. He's one of my favourite champions. Mighty, shout out to you because you showed me how good he was. And he is badass. We do have our Gala, who I don't necessarily have built for damage. In a stun set at the moment. Some pieces were removed. But for a very early game, doesn't have like a consistent decreased defense. 75% chance to land, not 100. But it is like a triple hit AOE and whatnot. So you can do okay damage, but we're going to go down to Dark Elhain. who was built, who is no longer built, and she was in Frenzy. I've had her in crit damage, I've had her in Savage also, but the Savage gear was just terrible. And the speed, forget about it. Build her to hit like an absolute truck. Take her in against Torment teams, and when she or her allies get frozen, she counters and she will kick ass. Stu Gaming, miss you buddy, good luck with future endeavours. Did a video a while back where he took 3 Dark Alhains into plat, and it was that Swift Perry bullshit that basically saved a lot of teams, because his triple Dark Alhain build was destroying people. No master is. The necrotic bolt is decreases your target's max HP by 30%, increases attack buff on herself, and attacks all enemies. Also chance to place decreased speed, which could be very, very good. But this is basically why people use her, and why she's so dangerous. Fills this champion's turn by 25%. Instantly activates the Death and Majesty skill whenever this champion or an ally receives a freeze. So anybody gets frozen, boom, she hits. 1 turn cooldown, which you can wait, trust me. The Vena Advice instantly removes any freeze debuffs, and I should give myself increased crit rate, increased crit damage, strengthen whenever an enemy places a freeze debuff on this champion, which is ridiculous. It's broken, and she absolutely can hit like a damn train. So moving on, everybody also knows this champion. Getting close to the end of the video now, folks. Thank you for staying with me, giving me some time to go through this. So we now have a Royal Guard. Pardon me. Royal Guard I used to have a lot quicker. I slowed him down basically because he's now dungeons. And he used to be Spider, but I have 2 Royal Guards, one of which you see is not built, but he does have Masteries. And I believe he's booked also. Just have to get the gear. He used to be part of the Spider team for Spider 2013 second team. I slowed him down now because he has 300 plus crit damage, 5k attack. And basically, he does what he's supposed to do. I'll take him in the waves in a dungeon. He hits 6 figures pretty much all the time. Takedown is ridiculous. I even took this champion in against Spider with him being so slow. Set up a certain comp just to see the damage, and it was I think close to like 3 million damage, which is extremely good. You know, I don't believe you're going to one-shot the Spider with him, but he can definitely kick ass. So the move you're looking for is Takedown. It is his move based on enemy max HP. The attack scale part of it is so minute compared to enemy max HP, but if you beat this, you'll be impressed. You'll be absolutely impressed. And moving on to potentially the final champion of the night, we could progress on to rares. We could go down to commons and uncommons to talk about people that actually have good kits and do a lot of damage. But I've taken up enough of your time, so we're going to go to Magnar. Magnar, basically Trunda but demon spawn, and he's spirit. That's it. Give him good HP, give him good crit rate, good crit damage. Yes, I know it's 95%. Don't go sue me, you know. It is what it is. But I used him for a little while. It was an arena, Doom Tower and so forth. Just experimenting with him, and he hit kind of good. He can hit way better than I can get him to hit. I just don't feel I had the gear to achieve this type of numbers. But if you think of how much damage a Trunda does, Magnar can potentially do slightly more than that if you build him properly. Nice HP, give him full crit rate, as much crit damage as you can slam on his ass. And the speed, just make him go in the order of which you want him to. And it is Percussive Pound. As long as there is no HP burn, he will place an extra hit. If there's a HP burn, he'll attack once. If there's not, he will attack twice. And it's great in arena. It's great in multiple places. I believe, because we could talk about Kale for the newer player, El Hay for the newer player. They can also do 6 figures of bulk correctly. We could obviously cover that at a different time. I have not built Saito, but Saito hits really, really hard. But I believe we've covered quite a few champions and spoke about some fun builds, or showing you some fun builds. So tell me, what nukers do you use? Who's your arena nuker? Who is one of your like Chugger is one of my legitimately funnest champions. When I watch him counter attack because of the poison, I laugh. It's ridiculous. It stops people taking a turn, and he's non-stop. One of my best champions, one of my most favourite to watch champions. And that concludes the video. So let me know who your best champion is, who the most fun champion is, who you enjoy using, your most common damage dealer, so forth. Spread that information, get the comments rolling, and as always guys, stay safe, keep on raiding, and I'll see you soon.